So you guys, here is a quick rundown of 5, maybe 6 things that you can be doing right now, no matter how much snow you may still have on the ground, to get ready for spring. Because spring, it just seems to come on all of a sudden, and we want to make sure we are ready to rock and roll. So I did this very thing this morning. I took all of my garden tools, all of my hedge shears, all of my pruners, everything. These are the ones that didn't need sharpening, but I took all of them. This is a great tip, you guys, to Ace Hardware, because they will sharpen your tools for you. So I just dropped them off this morning. They'll have them all ready for me tomorrow. I'll just go and pick them up. I asked them if they would also kind of clean them up. I did use an abrasive steel wool on them to try to get some of the rust off, because I am bad about leaving them out when I shouldn't. But they will take care of them. They'll kind of provide some maintenance on them, and then all I have to do is go and pick them up. You don't have to do it yourself if you're like me and you don't like to do that kind of thing. Ace Hardware, remember that. Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering how much it was or will be for a pair of shears like this, I think they said it would be about $8 or $9. But to preserve all of your really good tools, I think it's well worth the investment to do that on an annual basis, or maybe every other year. Okay, so that's my tip number 1. Sharpen and have your tools maintenanced. Okay, here's something I did just yesterday. It's number 2 on my list, and that is I fertilized my stand of hydrangeas, especially those that bloom on old wood, if hopefully they will bloom at all, and my perennial beds with triple super phosphate. I got this off of Amazon. I'll put a link below. It takes about 3/4 of a cup to 10 square feet, and I just broadcast it. Now, yesterday what I did was I blew all of this leaf mulch to the back. Then I sprinkled and broadcast the triple super phosphate, which, by the way, promotes strong roots, larger blooms, and fruit. Then I watered it in really well, and then I blew the leaves back onto the root zone of these hydrangeas, because we might still get a hard freeze. But that way I can ensure that there's good soil to fertilizer contact. I also did this in my perennial beds. I don't do this every year. I would say I do it about every other year. But if there was ever a season and a year that we really want to fertilize, it's this one. So that is my number 2 on the list. It's triple super phosphate. The link's below. So number 3 on my list of things to do now is order or start buying your seeds. There has just been a run on, well, gardening in general and seeds in particular since COVID arrived on the scene last March. I placed one seed order about 6 weeks ago, and I still haven't gotten it. They're all behind because of just the sheer quantity and magnitude of people that are ordering seeds, which is a wonderful thing. And so I have started collecting all of the seeds that I'm going to want to direct sow into my potager in the back and into some of my pots, and also for my wooden box plantings of microgreens and things that we're also going to be doing pretty soon. So even if you're buying them from your local nursery, you want to make sure that you get your selection what you want. So buy or order your seeds now. Well, Stuart and I were just interrupted by some bird life. We just saw some hawks flying overhead. There was lots of activity and chasing going on, which interrupted me before I went on with number 4 on your list of things to do. You guys frequently ask me how I address spider mite and scale, and now is the time to start doing just that. So while your plants are still dormant in the late winter, when temperatures are 40 degrees or above, but not too much warmer than that. When it gets above 60 degrees, I really try to hold off on spraying. You're going to want to use some Dormant Oil Spray or some horticultural oil. There's a variety of different brands available. And basically what you do is you just put it into one of 3 kinds of sprayers. Now typically, because I've got a large euonymus hedge and some hollies that I'm spraying and all of my boxwood, typically I will use a hose hose end sprayer. This is the one I got last time. It's by Ortho. And you just apply it, or you just attach it to your hose end, and then you basically just spray it. You put as much in here according to the directions as the bottle says. Always good, especially on Dormant Oil Spray, that you read the bottle. But you can also use, if you don't have as large a quantity of things to spray, or as large an expanse of spraying to be done, then you could use one of these just handheld pump sprayers. These work pretty well. I think I may have even gotten this one at the dollar store, and for small scale spraying, this works pretty well. Last year I fell in love with one of these Centurion battery operated sprays, and it's got a small battery inside. It does the spraying for you with just simply compressing the trigger button. It works great. Again, you will measure the appropriate amount and just follow the directions as prescribed by the back of your dormant oil bottle. And then also you can use one of these, Stuart, what are these called? Tank sprayers? Pump sprayers, again, for pretty large scale jobs. It comes with, as I get that one up, the smaller one up my nose. But it comes with a wand like this, and you just spray, trigger spray. Now, what does this do? Well, first of all, when you're spraying it, and I'll probably do a live demonstration when I get ready to do this in my own garden, but you're basically going to start at the top and work your way down, saturating the dormant plants. So your fruit trees, your evergreen hedges. I always do my small pots of boxwood that are sometimes susceptible to spider mite, my topiaries if they look like they are afflicted with spider mites or scale, euonymus in particular, maybe your crepe myrtles if they sometimes have a scale problem. And what it does is it kind of suffocates and penetrates through the hard shell of the scale or those little critters, and it basically just kind of suffocates them. So now's the time to do that before things leaf out. Be careful spraying it around annuals or anything that's flowering right now, but now is the time to do it. Horticultural oil or dormant oil spray. Well, this is my number 5 in tips. So many of you asked about how I control fungus gnats on all of my amaryllis that I force over the holidays, on my topiaries, on all of my tabletop plants, and really house plants in general. And I have a new best friend. It's these Mosquito Bits. And you'll notice on here it says also controls fungus gnats. Now, I want to give credit to somebody out there who in a comment told me about these Mosquito Bits. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. Please let me know. If you're that person, I will happily give you credit in the future, because this works great on fungus gnats, much better than a tip that I provided earlier about using hydrogen peroxide. And then you can also go into the growing season and mosquito season having this on hand. But all you do really is you just sprinkle it at the base of your potted plant, and then in the case where I've got things mulched in either gravel or in, maybe moss or something, I just lift up the moss or move the gravel away. I put this close to the soil, put that mulch back in place, give it a good water. This stuff is great. It's biological mosquito control, it's responsible gardening, and so I would put this in your arsenal of things for summer pests. Mosquito Bits. I'll put a link below. Well, here's my number 6, my bonus tip on things that you should be doing right now, and that is, in general, assess your irrigation system if you have an in-ground irrigation system. I did that yesterday in my front yard, and lo and behold, one of my zones isn't working, I'm sure because of some kind of storm damage. So before everything leafs out, gets green, and it's hard to navigate the space, I'm going to have somebody come out and help me with that zone. Likewise, in the back, I want to add a little bit more spaghetti drip tubing to my drip irrigation system in the potager, so I'm going to do that now, and I'm basically just going to assess whether or not mist heads are being blocked, rotator heads are being blocked by some kind of plant that may be in its place. I'm just going to do due diligence in checking out my irrigation system. The other reason you want to do that is you want to call them early to get that work done before spring arrives and everybody's calling them. So there is my number 6. I hope you guys liked this countdown on what to do when.